How safety impacts our emotions. It's not what's wrong with you, but rather what has happened to you. I'm sure you remember the young woman called Imani. We'd like to tell you more about what happens to Imani. Eventually, Imani experiences a deep loss, and it impacts her emotions deeply. Before I tell you more about Imani, I'd like to tell you about what it happens when you lose something important in your life. It can be a person or even a physical item, or even something less tangible like a job. Loss causes disconnection and disengagement. When we lose an important connection, it makes us question our very existence and sends us into grief. Grief is an experience of profound loss, a wound that needs healing. When grief is not properly experienced and healed, it will continue to affect people, often in subtle and obscure ways. Bereavement is the adaptation that makes one respond to loss, while mourning is the process that one goes through adapting to that loss. When the adaptation to the loss is inadequate, problems can result, and a person's life can become negatively impacted. Let's return to the story of the young woman called Imani, but change the scenario that she experiences. Let's now imagine that she lost her twin sister in an unexpected road accident. How is she after the funeral? Is she still as balanced and as stable as before? Or will she start to disconnect from those around her as she mourns her loss? Has she changed her thoughts, feelings, and behaviors because of this sudden and devastating loss? How is she, given the loss of her twin? Where is she now on her centering circle? As she disconnects, she is less balanced and less stable than before the sudden death of her loved one. What does it mean to mourn a loved one, missing them and their presence in your life? How does she feel going to work each day like nothing has happened? How does she respond to people who want to talk to her about it? How does she feel when someone mentions her loss and just pretends nothing has happened to her? How does she respond to her boss who's impatient with her because she's distracted and unfocused in her work? So now what happens when her boss calls her for a meeting one evening several weeks after the death of her sister? How is she feeling about this call? And what's going on in her mind? Is she relaxed about it, or does she even care about the call? Due to the loss of balance, because of the sudden loss that she's now feeling very disinterested and very unengaged in her work. So much so that her boss can feel it. She may be constantly late with submitting work and unbothered by the lateness. This could begin to agitate her boss, even though she may not actually see it. And so now with Imani, when her boyfriend calls to cancel the date, because once again his dad has unexpectedly come to Nairobi and wants to meet his son, now what is she feeling with this cancellation? What is she even thinking? What's her attitude and behavior towards him? Does she really not care? Maybe it's a relief that she doesn't have to go out into public and answer questions that she just doesn't want to answer about the loss of her beloved sister. Or she's just relieved to be left alone so that she can go home, crawl into bed, and eat her ice cream. She's relieved that he's canceling, maybe, and very relieved not to have to meet his father right now. She just couldn't handle it. All of these examples show that when we lose balance, when we're faced with loss, the greater the disconnection.